All right, good morning, everyone, and congratulations. You have finally made it, and you are at the level of your projects now. Now, the beautiful thing about projects, we call it capstone in some other climes, is that it gives you the room to make some discoveries for yourself. I mean, even though this is a teamwork and you're doing it together with other students under the supervision of your supervisor, but it's beautiful in that you get to discover something and you get to report something. And isn't life about discoveries? And so that's why project defense is very important from yourself. Some from literature, some are secondary, based on secondary data, secondary information, and how to cite without being guilty of plagiarism. So there are different things you would have gotten from your research and from project writing. And those are very important things for you to imbibe as a student. All right, moving forward, the essence of this video is to give you 10 tips, 10 secrets to an excellent project defense. If you're ready, I'm ready. All right, let's go. So the first thing I want you to know is your ability to be able to flow to introduce what you have done. So let me give you an instance. What I have written out here is that before you dive in deep, you have to state the cores of your work. So you start out talking about your topic, and then you're able to justify that work, give us an aim and the objectives, all offhand. Okay, you have to be able to say it from your mind, say it without making stutters and stammers. You have to say it boldly. All right, so you have to own your work. That's the first proof that you know what you're saying, you know what you're talking about. So state your work clearly from top down through to the methodology, and then you can take time to slow down your pace a little bit to explain. But when you start, you have to start out confident, stating your topic, your aim, your objectives, and things like your justification. And then before you start going into, if you don't have a lot of time, because some of you, especially undergraduates, you don't have a lot of time. So you may have to go straight to your research design after you've stated your topic, your aim, your objectives, and the justification for it, including the statement of problem. Then you can go straight to your research design. Now, if you want to start from listing the materials that you have done, you may not have that time. So please, I know chapter 3 says materials and methods, but you may not need to start out listing all the materials that, oh, we use hand gloves, we use this, we use that. It may not be necessary. So go straight to your research design. That is, how many animals were procured, etc. And of course, before you do that, or within that frame of time, you can also introduce the ethics. Okay, you can also talk about the ethical. After all, you used ethics, you applied for ethics before you got to the research design proper or carrying out the research. All right, now become an undisputed authority in your topic. Be an authority. That means talk with assertion. Okay, assertion and assertiveness are very important in the tone of your voice, and then also owning the basic knowledge of the things in your work. Now, methodology and statistics is the next point. Number three, methodology and statistics. You have to command your methodology and statistics. You have to show that you understand the methods by which you carried out this work. That includes procedures. So be firm about procedure. Don't wait for them to ask you, okay, as you state the research design, you have to also tell us the methods by which you carried out those tests or those procedures. And you have to be methodical about it. You have to go step by step. Okay, try not to miss your steps. Otherwise, you look like you don't know what you're doing. So, if there are steps, for instance, when handling the animals, you started with acclimatization, right? You may have done that for a week or thereabout. It depends on your research. And then after that, you go to ensuring that there is the basics for the start of your research. For instance, my group, we did a research on obesity. And for that, we had to induce obesity and we had to use high fat diet rather. So there was a start. We have to be careful about measuring the weight of the animal, a progressive measurement of weight. So you have to be methodical and go step by step when you're explaining your research. All right. Now, statistics. Okay. You have to know the statistic that birthed the results that you are presenting. All right. So even though you may have been assisted by a research assistant or a consultant in statistics, you may not have done all the statistics yourself. However, you must know the very core, the very essential things about the statistics. Is it analysis of variance? Is it t-tests, pair t-tests? And are there correlations and regressions? So you have to know them and you have to state them, stating where your p-values were, because some of you have multiple asterisks on your work. So you have to know the p-values that are responsible for those asterisks, because sometimes it may not be clearly stated in the work. All right, number four, very quickly, own your results. So I'll tell you a brief story. When I was doing my project defense, I was in my master's though. There was this certain external supervisor who reversed one of my results on one of my objectives. He reversed it, and he was asking me questions based on the reversed order. And then it was much later I found out that he knew what he was doing. He just wanted to find out whether I had a firm grasp of my result. And so I straightened it out and I said, sorry, sir, that's not my result. What I actually found was, then I stated the correct result. And he smiled. Then I knew that this was intentional. So, but he would have had his way and flawed my knowledge of my findings if I did not know what was in my result. So, know your results just in case you ask the question on the wrong premise so that you can restate your result, given the confidence that you knew your result. Don't forget, it's a project defense. And so, chances are the project will be under attack. All right, so you should know what is in each figure, what is in each graph. Okay, be able to properly explain it and also give underlying physiological mechanisms. That's if you're a physiology student, because I am. So I often explain with physiology. All right, so it depends on your department. If you're an anatomist, the anatomical mechanisms that may underpin that result that you are finding. Okay, so whatever department you are, especially in medical science, you must be able to explain mechanism, possible mechanisms, and use the word may. This may be as a result. Okay, this could be as a result, all right, because it's research and it's one research. So you cannot claim total explanations for everything that happened as the outcome, but use possibilities, all right, and then also speak about works, research works that may have agreed with the findings that you discovered. Let's run very quickly. Number 5, have a compelling physiological narrative. Okay, that is interwoven with what I just said. A compelling physiological narrative if you're a physiological student, of course. So this video is very serviceable for physiologists. That's because I'm a physiologist and a public health professional. However, it doesn't matter your department. What I'm saying is have a narrative, okay, that suits your result, because this thing is a little bit like a debate. Remember, project defense. Okay, so you have to have your own narrative and then give room for the possibilities that there may be other factors, such as genetic factors, and apart from hereditary, you may also explain it to be flawed or confounded by the duration of research, the methods that you used. So, in other words, you may not be too certain as to whether people who use other methods to carry out this same research may arrive at the same result, or other drugs if you use an inducing agent. All right, or a drug. Let's go to secret number 6 and very quickly proactively identify and address flaws. Now, your research may have flaws, okay? Identify them. Don't wait for it to be the external supervisor or your supervisor or the person who is your external examiner, rather. Don't wait for it to be your examiner to show you your flaws, okay? If you have seen flaws, maybe in the course of reading your work, identify them and say the proactive measures that you have in place to solve those flaws, okay? Or make recommendation around those flaws, because you're just an undergraduate student, so you may not have done a perfect work, okay? But don't come there trying to prove that you have done a perfect work, okay? You've not done a perfect work. Chances are you have a lot of flaws and confounders. So be able to speak to them and let the examiner know that you are conscious that there may have been flaws. However, also have interesting findings from your results, okay? This is about the skill of research and not about a perfect research per se. All right, now number 7, project professional confidence and authority. Okay, confidence is a non-negotiable. You have to project confidence. Don't stutter. Don't flicker your eyes. Don't bow your heads. Don't look to the ceiling. All right, there's nothing in the ceiling. There's only something in heaven, and heaven now is in you. Okay, so talk with that confidence and make sure you're not jittery when you're speaking. All right, secret number 8. Prepare for the defense. Stay calm under fire. Okay, sometimes you may be wrong in something that you said, or you may make a mistake. So I'm not saying you must follow all the steps, or rather, having followed all the steps, you may not make mistakes. If you've made a mistake, become confident to recompose yourself. Okay, have the ability to get yourself together and then restate your stance. All right, if you're corrected, take it calmly and do not argue. Never argue with an examiner, albeit an external examiner. I wouldn't want to be argued with. I mean, arguments in the sense of being confrontational or being, irritational just because you were being corrected. So take corrections nicely, calmly, and take corrections with the mind of being corrected. After all, you're the student and he's the lecturer. All right. Now, secret number 9, fix it first. Okay, that's a pre-defense polish. I'm talking about things like typographical errors or structural errors in your work. So come with the fixed version in your mind. So if they point your attention to something, and you can also indicate that you identified that was an error and this is what you have come up with. Okay, so have a fixed mindset and be willing to make post-defense corrections on your work. That's because you're still going to, in the Nigerian setting, you're still going to have to hard bind that or produce that into another copy. So have a mindset to be able to make post defense corrections if your attention is brought to such a thing. And finally, the final 24-hour countdown: body and mind preparations. Body and mind preparations. You don't want to fall ill during your defense. You don't want to break down during your defense. Try not to break down. So that means you have to plan for your rest, a sleep, and also make sure your clothes look good. All right. Don't forget, perception is the doorway to reality. So for them to examine you well, see you well, and for your presentation to be appealing, it has to have the right aesthetics, including how you appear and how you are. All right. Take care of yourself, and I wish you all the best in your defense. Thank you.